What exactly is an adventure board game? I can list the important elements like exploration, a sense of discovery, an action-oriented story with colorful characters and a vibrant world. But ultimately to me, what is or is not an adventure game is largely vibes-based. It's a feeling I get in my gut, a nostalgic feeling, which takes me back to my childhood watching The Neverending Story, The Goonies, and Indiana Jones, and playing PC games like Space Quest, King's Quest, and Monkey Island. Most of you will probably disagree, but these 10 solo board games come closest to recapturing that spirit of adventure for me. Number 10 is This War of Mine. I love This War of Mine and I speak about it all the time, so I'll make this brief. You play as a group of regular citizens caught in the middle of a war trying to survive the physical and mental toll. I have this at the bottom of the list because typically I think of adventure games as being optimistic and joyful, or at least quirky. This War of Mine is the opposite of that. It's brutal and depressing and sometimes disturbing because the stories presented are based on real events from real wars. This is the dark and serious side of the adventure genre. I wasn't going to put it on the list at all, but I changed my mind based on the strength of one phase of the game. During the night, when you leave the house and scrounge bombed out locations for food, ammo, and medicine, that's when the adventure vibe really hits me. You draw cards to sneak around the location, your noise level ticking up, but then someone hears you, so you hide in a crawl space until they go away, or they discover you and you have a confrontation that might turn violent. No other board game better captures this kind of classic adventure moment. Number 9 is Lord of the Rings: Fate of the Fellowship. Fate of the Fellowship is a cooperative game for 1 to 5 players using the Pandemic system, but this is the most radical departure from classic Pandemic to date. You control 4 characters along with Frodo. To win, you must accomplish multiple objectives in addition to destroying the One Ring, while simultaneously fighting off shadow troops and Nazgul as they move across the land. I've placed this lower on the list because I prefer my adventure games to be closer to the ground and more intimate. The scale here is epic, but the objective system adds so much rich story detail, it feels more personal. Being themed around Lord of the Rings helps, of course. It's so easy to visualize all the locations and the characters as this alternative narrative plays out. If you focus on Frodo and Sam and their journey to Mount Doom, that feeling of adventure really comes through. Number 8 is The Lost Expedition. In The Lost Expedition, you play the leader of a team of explorers traveling deep into the Amazon rainforest in search of the lost city of El Dorado. You must use your team's skills to survive by managing food, bullets, and health. Each round you must arrange 6 event cards in a row, trying to put them in the best order in order to avoid danger and advance on your mission. Each sequence of cards tells a little story, like maybe you hit out from a lightning storm, and then you need to cross a river full of piranhas, and on the other side you discover an abandoned camp. Each tarot-sized card is illustrated with striking and evocative artwork, which really brings the adventure to life. Card games rarely feel this thematic. The Lost Expedition has very simple rules, but manages to be consistently exciting to play, and that's why it stood the test of time for me. Number 7 is Lands of Galzyr. This is an open-world adventure game with persistent elements that continue from game to game. It takes place in the same adorable world of animal folk that the game Dale of Merchants takes place in. It's a surprisingly layered and fleshed out universe. As you explore and encounter interesting characters, you begin to learn the history and the politics and all the complex relationships between species. It feels like a real lived-in world, which makes it that much more fun to explore. You'll mostly be completing different quests in order to gain fame and prestige. Actions are accomplished through skill checks using a very clever dice system. Check out my playthrough for more details. Lands of Galzyr features many streamlined mechanisms for making the game simple to set up, to play, and to put away, making it so easy to get to the table. The story elements are handled by an easy-to-use app. I really think if you're looking for an adventure game that's more about experiencing a story rather than any kind of deep strategic mechanisms, then Lands of Galzyr is a great place to start. Number 6 is Star Wars Outer Rim. Star Wars Outer Rim lets you experience life as a bounty hunter, mercenary, and smuggler in the seedy underbelly of the Star Wars universe, my favorite part of the franchise. I have so much fun flying around from planet to planet, picking up jobs and crew, and earning money, upgrading my ship, and then engaging in ship-to-ship combat. It really has everything you could want from an adventure game set in this world, including many familiar locations and faces. When you add the unfinished business expansion, your character gains a personal ambition, which is simply just a series of goals and quests you need to complete. This adds so much to the adventure feel of the game. In fact, I consider it a necessary expansion. If you're normally turned off by pick up and deliver games like I am, I would still give this one a look because it makes the mechanism feel so thematic and exciting. Number 5 is Arkham Horror the Card Game. Arkham Horror the Card Game is a cooperative adventure campaign game set in a Lovecraftian world of monsters, cultists, and madness. The number and variety of scenarios is staggering. And sure, some of the scenarios are more adventurous than others. One scenario takes you into the rainforests of southern Mexico. In another one, you end up in Antarctica. But even the scenarios where you're confined to a house or part of a town, that sense of discovery is always there. You just never know what's going to happen next because literally anything could happen. Arkham Horror's tone is more serious than I typically desire for this type of game, but I love that the theme enables the writers and designers to create surprises for the player at every turn. That always leads to an exciting adventure. Number 4 is Earthborne Rangers. In this co-op adventure card game, the world has been transformed into a vast and vibrant wilderness. You create a character by constructing their deck of skills, equipment, and personality cards, and then you use those cards to explore an open world that truly feels alive. It does this by having things in the world that interact with each other rather than only interacting with you. So for example, a predator might show up and scare off its prey, or another animal might come along and eat the berries you were going to pick. The rest of this list features games with open worlds to explore to one degree or another. This mechanism, if you want to call it that, contributes so much to that sense of adventure. Having a map and being able to explore in any direction, it's one of my favorite things in video games and one of my favorite things in board games. The freedom to journey into the unknown, that's what adventure is all about. And Earthborne Rangers really excels at rewarding that curiosity with interesting people to meet and mysteries to uncover. Number 3 is Arydia, The Paths We Dare Tread. This is another epic open world campaign-based cooperative board game. The production of Arydia is off the charts amazing. Check out my playthrough. In fact, I'll include all the playthrough links below in the description. Arydia also excels in the design of its quests. Many of the quests I've encountered so far have been imaginative and humorous. They can be quite lengthy and involve a bunch of story and exploration and combat. Speaking of the combat, I think it's fantastic, even if it feels super challenging when you're playing solo. You can always solve this by running 2 characters rather than just one. I also enjoy how the NPCs often give clues and hints or rumors about interesting or dangerous things happening all across the map. It means you have a reason to travel somewhere. You aren't just wandering around randomly. A great adventure game should create memorable moments, and Arydia does that consistently. Number 2 is Vantage. Vantage is an open-world cooperative exploration game for 1 to 6 players, but it's not a campaign game. Each play is a self-contained session. I've made 2 playthroughs and a first impressions video, so watch those for more information. Vantage sets itself apart from other adventure games on this list by focusing exclusively on exploration and streamlining all other mechanisms, like character development and resource management and combat. Here, you're given an entire alien planet to walk around and learn about. There's tons of mysterious creatures and objects to encounter and interact with in various ways, and it's presented from a first-person perspective, like those old computer games. Myst is always the first one that comes to mind. The actual storytelling is left for you to use your imagination to fill in the gaps, so you won't be reading long paragraphs here. Most of the details are left unsaid and are only present as images on the location card. Vantage really hits me with that nostalgia that I'm looking for from the adventure genre. And my number one solo adventure board game is Sleeping Gods. Sleeping Gods has everything that I want in an adventure game. An unfamiliar world to explore, entertaining stories that let me make decisions that have consequences, colorful characters who change and grow, and a fun combat system. It also has one of the most open-feeling open worlds in any game. I can set sail in any direction in this vast sandbox and discover quests, secrets, puzzles, treasures, dangerous monsters, and friendly companions. This is such an enjoyable world to get lost in. Ryan Laukat's charming, whimsical artwork sets the perfect tone. I love the crew members of your ship and how each one begins to take on a unique personality as you build up their skills. Stories emerge from the decisions you make and which quests you choose to pursue. I still have so much to discover in this game, I haven't even touched the sequel yet. Sleeping God shows how to do open world adventure board games and no doubt influenced some of the other games on this list. That's why it's my number one. Now, anyone who's followed the channel knows my actual number one adventure game is Robinson Crusoe: Adventures on the Cursed Island. In fact, it's become a little bit of a joke in the comments how much I put it on my top 10 lists. It is my favorite game of all time after all. But you know what? I'm tired of talking about it, and just as you're tired of hearing about it. So here's what I'm gonna do. Robinson Crusoe is officially the first game to enter the Totally Tabled Hall of Fame. Games in the Hall of Fame will no longer be eligible for my top 10 lists. This will let me talk about a greater variety of games rather than repeating the same talking points over and over again. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last time I put this war of mine on a top 10 list. It seems destined for the Hall of Fame very soon. But there you go. What games did I miss? There's a ton of popular adventure games that I haven't played, so I'm sure there are a ton of recommendations. I would love if you could post them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. But there you have it, that's all for me. I'd like to thank all the financial supporters of Totally Tabled, including the totally radical Dr. Casey, Hextra, Mitch Fisher, John Kohler, Scott Myers, and Jay Satterwhite, as well as the totally bodacious Lancelot CNS. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can join on YouTube or my Patreon at www.patreon.com/totallytabled. You'll gain access to my new exclusive podcast, Tabled Talk, as well as unboxing videos and whatever extra stuff I come up with. As always, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.